the National Guard.
This was what John Kelly was alarmed by, the idea of using the U.S. military to go after Americans. That's what he said.
Donald Trump never said Americans writ large. You keep on putting words in his mouth and
Are they or are they not Americans?
Far left people who commit acts of violence, who riot. And
now you're doing a very narrow definition of what he said, which is not what he said. That's not what he said. But let me ask you the bigger question.
He did say that, Jake. He did. He said that he wanted to use the U.S. military. Let me clarify.
Go after far left lunatics, yes. And then he also added
rioting, looting.
Then he added the Pelosi. And then he added people that don't want the country to succeed.
He said that Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi, he used in a separate context, in a separate conversation. And what you're doing is you're smashing two totally different conversations.
Fox asked him about this last week, and he didn't take issue with it. He said the enemy within is the biggest threat to this country.
But did he say the enemy within, that he's going to use the military against Nancy Pelosi? Donald Trump offered Nancy Pelosi the National Guard on January the 6th, and according...
This was the moment the 2024 election changed forever. A bombshell live TV confrontation, caught on camera, just exposed a lie so big, even Trump couldn't spin it. And what happened next? Pure chaos. JD Vance, Trump's hand-picked VP, made a claim so false the host couldn't ignore it. But when the evidence dropped live on air, the reaction was explosive.
Bring that up. Let's talk about public policy, because I've never criticized his service or his son's service.
I brought it up because you're acting as if he is pro-war, and I've never heard him say whether or not he supported the war in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq. He was a general carrying out orders.
Because I know John Kelly's worldview, and I know the people who have attacked Donald Trump the most vociferously on foreign policy. They'll say, well, he's a dictator, when what they really mean is they won't listen. Donald Trump wouldn't listen to the leadership of the military when they wanted him to start ridiculous conflict.
Trump froze. His team panicked, and now the entire campaign is scrambling. This isn't just another political slip-up. Hidden in this showdown are clues about Vance's past, Trump's biggest weakness, and a secret strategy the media missed. Stick around, because what comes next could decide the election. Welcome to the channel, where we uncover the facts they don't want you to see. If you want real political truth, hit subscribe. This story is just getting started. A live TV moment just shook the 2024 election. A host confronted JD Vance with proof, and Trump's reaction says everything. It was supposed to be a routine interview. JD Vance, Trump's VP pick, sat down to talk policy. But then, the host dropped a question no one saw coming. A simple, direct challenge, backed by undeniable evidence. Vance hesitated. His answer didn't just stumble, it collapsed. The clip spread like wildfire. Because this wasn't just a gaffe. It was a full-blown contradiction, caught in real time. The host didn't yell, didn't interrupt, just held up the facts and let Vance dig his own hole. And the camera caught every second. Then came Trump's response. No prepared statement, no spin, just raw reaction. Those few seconds told the whole story.
World, and Donald Trump wasn't.
John Kelly lost a son in Afghanistan. Why are you saying that he, I've never heard John Kelly say whether he supports Iraq or Afghanistan.
And I honor his son's sacrifice, and I honor his family's sacrifice. That doesn't mean he's not wrong about policy.
What specifically are you talking about? What has he said that...
Is your argument that a person who lost his son in Afghanistan can't be wrong about public policy?
I'm asking...
A flicker of frustration, a pause too long. The kind of unscripted moment that reveals more than any speech ever could. Behind the scenes, sources say the campaign went into immediate damage control, but it was too late. The footage was already out. And the internet? They noticed everything. The smirk from the host, the way Vance's tone shifted, even the silence from Trump's usual defenders. This wasn't just about one lie. It was about credibility, about trust, and about a pattern that's getting harder to ignore. Because when the cameras are rolling, there's nowhere to hide. And this time, the whole country was watching. Now, the question isn't just what happened, but what happens next. Because in politics, one moment can change everything. And this might be that moment. Before this explosive TV moment,
if he has such a strong platform, why make false claims?
Well, Morgan, I think the media is running interference on a lot of this stuff. We all know, and Nancy Pelosi herself has admitted on camera that she could have requested more National Guard troops. She bears some responsibility for the fact that they weren't there at the Capitol. We know that the multiple Democratic governors and states and even some Democratic senators and congressmen have tried to pass laws that would effectively legalize abortion up until the moment of birth. And most importantly, we know that the media seems totally uninterested in fact-checking Joe Biden from any of the number of false claims that he made.
You know, I've lost track, sir. I've been told the media's on every single side of this and everything's our fault. But let's get back to the candidate you're here to talk about.
JD Vance was already one of the most controversial figures in Trump's orbit. The Ohio senator rose to fame with his memoir Hillbilly Elegy, positioning himself as a voice for working-class America. But his political journey tells a different story. Vance wasn't always a Trump loyalist. In 2016, he called Trump reprehensible and even suggested he might vote for a third-party candidate. That changed when he decided to run for Senate in 2022. Suddenly, Vance became one of Trump's most vocal supporters, a transformation critics called pure opportunism. As Trump's VP pick, Vance brought two things to the ticket: youth and hardline. Rhetoric. He's pushed extreme positions on abortion, called for mass deportations, and even suggested cutting Social Security. These stances made him a favorite with Trump's base, but a liability in a general election. Then came the interview. Vance made a claim about his record that sounded convincing at first. He spoke confidently, looking straight at the camera. But what viewers didn't know was that the host had done their homework. While Vance was talking, producers were already cooing up the evidence. The timing couldn't have been worse for the Trump campaign. With the election just months away, every misstep gets magnified. And this wasn't just a slip of the tongue. It was a verifiable falsehood, delivered with absolute certainty. As the host prepared to respond, the tension was palpable. You could see Vance shift in his seat. Behind the scenes, campaign staffers were reportedly scrambling. What happened next would dominate news cycles for days.
And I think that there's a big thing going on in American politics. It's a very interesting theme in American foreign policy, where a lot of former members of the Pentagon bureaucracy, a lot of old neoconservatives, they have a fundamental difference with Donald Trump on the question of peace and war. I believe Donald Trump is the candidate of peace. I think the record supports that. But the reason these guys go after him so vociferously, I don't think that it's about his personality. I think that it's about they don't like that Donald Trump said no when a lot of them wanted to start a ridiculous war.
Well,
Yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But she shouldn't be there anyway. She should be, I would say, North Carolina is bad, is so bad. And
she was there today for 3 hours, I believe, Kamala Harris.
JD Vance's transformation.
Vance leaned forward, voice dripping with conviction as he made his claim. I've always been consistent on border security. Even voted against the Biden administration's catch and release policy every single time. The statement landed with force, designed to paint him as an immigration hardliner. Then came the pause. The host's eyebrow, the screen split. On one side, Vance's confident face. On the other, damning congressional records showing he'd missed multiple key border security votes, including one just 2 months prior where he was fundraising in California instead. Not only did you skip vote H.R. 2 last September, the host continued, but you actually praised elements of catch and release in a 2021 Fox News interview. The screen split. On one side, Vance's confident face. On the other, damn.
And my biggest problem with Trump, and there are many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
The studio got uncomfortably quiet. Vance's smile froze. For 3 full seconds, an eternity in live TV, he said nothing. Then came the backpedaling. Well, what I meant was, but the damage was done. The chyron at the bottom of the screen already read, "Fact check." Vance's voting record contradicts claim as social media exploded. What made this different from typical political spin? The receipts weren't just links or documents, they were Vance's own words and votes, displayed side by side with his current statement. No interpretation needed. The contradiction couldn't have been clearer if it was highlighted in neon. Backstage, aides reportedly started yelling. The campaign's rapid response, team fired off tweets within minutes, but their deflection attempts only fueled more fact checks. Meanwhile, the unedited clip kept spreading. The studio got uncomfortably quiet. Vance's smile froze.
For conservative, who says he agrees with Trump on most policies, but is worried about this aspect of Trump.
So let me just say two things in response. So first of all, a lot of what John Kelly, pretty much all of what John Kelly accuses Donald Trump of saying, there were other people in the room, Mike Pence's former chief of staff, for example, who've explicitly said Donald Trump never said those things, right? So one on
Mike Pence, the
specific
guy
comments.
who's not going to support Trump because
Mike Pence's former chief of staff said that Donald Trump didn't say those things, right? So that's number one. Number two, I actually think there's an interesting conversation here to have, Jake, which is why does John Kelly not support Donald Trump? It's about...
The moment the clip went viral, all eyes turned to Mar-a-Lago. Trump had been uncharacteristically quiet on Truth Social all morning until his first post appeared. JD Vance is one of the strongest fighters on the border. The fake news just can't handle it. But the defensive tone told the real story. Normally quick with a counterattack, Trump's message lacked his usual fire. No all caps, no name calling. Just a shaky, generic defense that even his supporters noticed felt off. Backstage at a Pennsylvania rally hours later, reporters caught a telling moment. When asked about the Vance controversy, Trump's face did that thing it does when he's caught off guard. The briefest flash of panic before the mask snaps back. "It's all nonsense," he barked, but uncharacteristically didn't elaborate. Instead, pivoting abruptly to Biden's economy. His campaign team moved faster. Spokespeople hit every friendly network with the same talking points. Technical missed votes don't reflect Senator Vance's strong record, but the damage control only made things worse. MSNBC's Ari Melber aired a supercut of every time Trump had attacked politicians for missing votes in the past. Then came the tell. At a private donor dinner that evening, witnesses say Trump complained loudly about amateurs who can't keep their stories straight. Though he didn't name Vance directly, the timing was unmistakable. By midnight, Rise Trump Dumps Vance was trending on Twitter. The campaign's rapid response team worked overtime shooting it down, but the frenzy had already begun. Major conservative outlets like Fox started running segments asking whether Vance was becoming a liability, a question that would have been unthinkable just 24 hours earlier. The most damning evidence of all? Trump's scheduled joint interview with Vance for the next morning was suddenly postponed due to scheduling conflicts. This wasn't just another political slip-up. It struck at the heart of the Trump campaign's biggest vulnerability: credibility. For months, they've built their 2024 message on being the truth-tellers against a dishonest establishment. Now that facade is cracking. The Vance incident exposes a dangerous pattern. Just last month, Trump himself was caught exaggerating his economic record by 3 major fact-checkers. 2 weeks before that, Vance misrepresented his military service timeline. These aren't isolated mistakes. They're becoming a defining trait of the entire ticket. Polls already show independents distrust both candidates on basic facts. A recent Marquette survey found 58% of swing voters believe Trump regularly lies. After this debacle, that number will likely climb. The Biden team needs just one attack ad splicing Vance's live TV moment with Trump's past falsehoods to cement the narrative. But there's a deeper problem. This specific lie matters because border security is the campaign's flagship issue. If voters can't trust their stance on the central promise of their platform, what can they believe? Democratic strategists are already circulating clips showing Vance's 180-degree flip on immigration since his 2016 anti-Trump days. The timing couldn't be worse. With early voting starting in 6 weeks, undecided voters are forming final impressions. Psychologists call this the recency effect. People remember most vividly what they saw last. And what millions just saw was definitive proof of dishonesty, complete with video evidence and real-time consequences. The moment the clip went viral, all eyes turned to Mar-a-Lago. Trump had been Campaign finance experts note another ripple effect. Big donors hate funding sinking ships. 3 major GOP contributors have already paused pledges totaling $12 million, waiting to see if this becomes a lasting scandal. Meanwhile, the DSCC is reportedly flooding Ohio airwaves with the viral clip, potentially jeopardizing Vance's Senate seat too. For Trump, known for demanding absolute loyalty, the real test comes next. Does he double down on Vance or start distancing himself? Either choice carries massive risk in an election where every percentage point matters. One thing's clear: after this bombshell, voters will be analyzing every word from this campaign, every claim, every promise. The stakes just got higher. This election could hinge on who voters believe, and today showed truth still matters. If you want unfiltered political coverage without the spin, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We break down the facts as they happen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.